Hey guys, it's a model lead and steel. Today we're talking LP-1 updates. Stay tuned. The Promethean was about as perfect as you could reasonably hope for when it comes to a product launch. We're super thankful for that. We spent a long time in development for that reason because we didn't want to deal with a bunch of rolling changes. However, we're not like our industry competitors in the sense that we're not just going to innovate once and then just sit back on our laurels and be like, hey, cool, we're done. You know, as they say, there's nothing really new in this industry. And for the LP-1, we're not really trying to reinvent the wheel, but we did want to check as many boxes as possible for the most affordable price that we can enter the market at. I'm excited and happy to say that we definitely succeeded on that venture. But naturally, you know, there's always some room for continuous improvement, and that's truly the ethos of our company, all the way through our team members. And so, you know, when it comes to the LP-1, we knew that we could make things a little cooler. One such improvement to the LP-1 is AuraWake. AuraWake is our shake-to-wake methodology that differs from traditional shake-to-wake in the sense that the implementation is significantly safer. My brilliant younger brother came up with AuraWake. We were just sitting on the SHOT Show floor and he just goes, yeah, why don't we just do such and such? And I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. So I'm gonna talk to you guys about why AuraWake is awesome and why it differs from traditional shake-awake options in the industry right now. So shake-awake, very quickly, is the implementation of an accelerometer into the circuit of a red dot sight. The accelerometer is just like a little motion sensing device and tells the control board to light up the emitter as soon as the rifle gets picked up or the optic gets moved. Now, one of the industry solutions to runtime and battery life is the introduction of auto shutoff technology. So that after a particular amount of runtime, say 4 hours, 8 hours, whatever, your optic will auto shut off to conserve battery life. So what is shake-awake, I guess? That's the question, right? Shake-awake, for those who don't know, is pretty straightforward. In order to increase the runtime of your electronic optic, the red dot will auto shut off after a set number of time. Usually it's maybe like 10 or 15 minutes or a couple of hours or whatever. And then, you know, a little accelerometer or motion sensing device inside the optic will sense when that red dot or rifle is picked up and will cut the power back on. It's a great way to significantly increase runtime in your optic, particularly if your rifle is stationary. We intentionally neglected to implement shake-awake into the LP-1 when we first launched because accelerometers are inherently finicky. After enough kinetic energy into one of those suckers, they will stop functioning properly. And so what you get is the control board will tell your emitter, hey, shut off after 5-10 minutes or whatever it is. You'll pick up your rifle, but you won't have a reticle. You'll have to manually cycle it to turn it back on. That's because that accelerometer is defective. So we went alongside some of our industry competition like Aimpoint and EOTech for not implementing accelerometers into the circuit of the LP-1 because we didn't want to add that potentially failure-prone feature. Although the LP-1 was a simpler design at launch and gave you a constant on reticle, you just set it and forget it, the power draw of that 65 MOA ring in the CQB reticle was significantly higher than just the center 2 MOA dot. And so, as you can tell in our user manual where we list different power settings and the runtime associated with that, obviously as you increase brightness, you increase current output to the diode and hence you shorten your battery life. Enter our patent pending AuraWake, or my brother's brilliant idea into having our cake and eating it too. We decided to tie the accelerometer only to the 65 MOA ring, the most power selfish part of that reticle. And so we effectively keep the 2 MOA dot on at all times as a redundancy. That way, if the LP-1 takes a significant impact and your accelerometer fails, your 2 MOA dot is on at all times. And if you snap that gun back into your workspace, you'll still have a red dot. So now you get all the benefits of the extended runtime of just 2 MOA red dots, similar to the Aimpoints out there, with some of the benefits of the cheaper alternatives that use accelerometers to cut the entire reticle off, and a happy medium that allows you to do both. You snap your weapon back on target, you see that larger 65 MOA ring, you get to work, and when you put your rifle away, the 65 MOA ring shuts off after 5 minutes of inactivity, and you get the benefits of the extended runtime of just leaving the 2 MOA dot on at all times. So we obviously implemented it into the LP-1. It's live right now if you want to pick one up. And that most certainly is exemplified by the company's ethos of continuous improvement. We didn't want to just innovate once and forget about it. We want to bring you guys the latest and greatest that we can feasibly manufacture and implement into these units. And if you're an early adopter of the LP-1, whom I consider the lifeblood of the company, thank you so much for doing so. We have you guys covered too. If you're interested in an AuraWake LP-1, we have the AuraWake upgrade program also live on the site. For a small fee, you can send in your LP-1 and we will replace it with an AuraWake LP-1. So that's a good way for us to cover everybody. And again, we can't thank you all enough. The other little change that we made to the LP-1 was the update of the QD mount. We realized post-launch that unfortunately the manufacturer spec for the 1913 rail for some manufacturers was more of a suggestion. And as a result, there was a lot of slop between rails. So although the LP-1 at launch obviously had the wide adjustment range for different kinds of rails, now you have even more adjustment range. And obviously, like the previous mount, it is fully returned to zero with no point of aim or point of impact shifts at all. So that's good to have. If you have one of those older LP-1s and you're experiencing some issues with your QD mount, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll send you an updated QD mount free of charge. The other thing that we did between launch and now is we played with some of the brightness settings on the LP-1. When we first were playing around with the control board on this, the brightness settings for that emitter were kind of where I wanted them to be. The top end brightness was bright enough to be seen very quickly and picked up very quickly on a bright, snowy Ohio day. So, a red reticle obviously being picked up against a white, sunny background is hard to do. And, that top end brightness level was right in line with that and, pretty much perfect. But people wanted it even brighter. And so we made it even brighter. We also played with some of the night vision settings to give you, some more compatibility there. It's hard drafting some good night vision settings because everyone's night vision setup is different. Personally, the team's philosophy when it comes to night vision settings is never to have a, super crispy, brilliant NV setting for shooting for extended periods or stationary under night vision. This was drafted for entry types in mind, people who are going to be going from different lighting conditions. And so need a reticle that can be picked up under, nods, under an illuminator, and even under a white light very quickly without having to go and play around with a bunch of stuff. But, if your intended use case for the LP-1 is that for the most brilliantly crisp night vision reticle to shoot for extended hours at night and just, dork around with your friends, absolutely we'll have you covered. If you have any problems with that, reach out to us. We can help you troubleshoot. Finally, we're now offering some aftermarket hood options for the LP-1. Obviously, this, as discussed previously, the 6000 series extruded hood was made as a sacrificial unit to crumple upon impact. And, as the proactive LP-1 owner, if your optic takes a big impact, swap out the hood, right? It's very easy to do. It's just 6 fasteners and it's good to go. We also may have some occasional limited edition Cerakote runs with some of our partners. And so stay on the lookout if you want some cool multicam options down the line. So that's pretty much that, guys. That's wrapping up the little update video on the LP-1. Truthfully, the Promethean was very much a Promethean to the subsequent products and projects that Lead & Steel is coming out with. So thank you guys so much for your early adoption and support and your feedback. Without it, we wouldn't be able to bring such awesome products and continue to do so consistently. One of the continuous criticisms that we hear is, how could we trust Lead & Steel? They're such a new company, right? As an optics manufacturer, what is it that they do that's so different? They don't have much of a reputation, if you will. Truthfully, Aimpoint EOTech also didn't have much of a reputation at one point, and they are wonderful representations of optical companies that you can trust with your hard-earned money. We hope to do the same with Lead & Steel. As an aside, we have a couple of things that are coming. Thanks to the Promethean being the Promethean and releasing the floodgates for us as the innovation for our company, we have a couple of options that are on the way. The first product that's around the corner is the Pandora. The Pandora is our acro killer, the Pandora PB3 or Pandora's Box 3 MOA. More details to come on that. If you're following our pages on Reddit, you'll see a lot of the developmental cycle updates on that. It's a really cool unit. It'll be setting a new standard for the world of duty-grade closed emitter optics for your handgun. Other projects that are coming include the all-rounder carbine or the ARC. That is our high-grade AR-15 that we're manufacturing from the ground up to check as many boxes as possible. It's a brilliant rifle, and it should be here very soon. The Jag is our just as good, cheaper AR-15 alternative, right around $800. Naming convention brought to you by my operations director, Jimmy. Thanks for that. Hilarious. Awesome rifle. It's going to, again, tick those boxes for that entry type AR that will give you that longevity and reliability that you expect out of 21st century manufacturing. Finally, we are in development of a family of pistol weapon lights and modular switches with a company that you may know of. And we're also developing an LCAN competitor. So a nice 1-to-4 that'll bring that sucker kicking and dragging into the 21st century. So more to come on that. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support Lead & Steel, please head over to the website. We'd be humbled to have your business. Thanks and take care.